Gratitude is not something that simply lives in the mind. It's a vibration that emanates from the heart. It is not a thought or an idea. It's an energy that shapes how reality responds to you. When you feel truly grateful, your entire inner chemistry changes. Your brain begins to release a symphony of chemicals dopamine and serotonin. Feel-good messengers that tell your body you are safe, whole, and fulfilled. Your heart rate slows down, your breath deepens, your mind grows quiet, and your awareness expands. In that state, you are no longer surviving life, you're creating it. Gratitude becomes the language between you and the universe, a signal that says, I am ready to receive more of this energy. Every emotion carries a frequency. Fear contracts. Anger burns. Guilt drains. But gratitude expands. It raises your vibration to a frequency where abundance naturally resides. You cannot be in lack and gratitude at the same time, because one cancels out the other. Gratitude is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It tells your subconscious mind that you already have what you desire. And that shifts your state from wanting to having, from chasing to attracting. This is not about pretending life is perfect. It's about choosing to focus your energy on what's working, what's growing, and what's teaching you something valuable right now. The reason gratitude feels so powerful is because it aligns you with the present moment. Most people live trapped between the regrets of the past and the anxieties of the future. They rarely pause long enough to feel the power of now, but gratitude pulls you out of that mental chaos and anchors you in the truth that right now, in this moment, you have breath in your lungs, strength in your heart, and the ability to think, feel, and create. The moment you truly feel grateful for that, you step into the field of possibility. Your energy shifts from resistance to allowance. You stop forcing outcomes and start allowing flow. Imagine waking up in the morning and before reaching for your phone, you reach for your thoughts. Instead of asking, what do I need to do today? You ask, what am I thankful for today? That one question begins to reprogram your neural networks. Over time, your brain learns to look for things to be grateful for rather than things to worry about. Gratitude literally rewires your mind to scan for positivity, opportunity, and love. This is not spiritual fluff, it's neuroscience. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude consistently experience stronger immune systems, better sleep, higher levels of optimism, and deeper relationships. But beyond the science, there is something mystical about it, because the more you feel grateful, the more the universe gives you reasons to stay that way. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into miracles. The cup of coffee becomes a ceremony. The sound of laughter becomes medicine. The morning sunlight through your window becomes a reminder that you are alive and connected to something greater. When you live in gratitude, life doesn't necessarily change overnight, but your perception of life does. You begin to notice the beauty that was always there, hidden behind the noise of wanting more. The lack begins to fade because your energy no longer feeds it. You start seeing abundance not as something to earn or achieve, but as something to remember it was always within you. There's a shift that happens when you practice gratitude deeply. At first, it feels like an effort. You list things, you remind yourself, you write in journals. But then something miraculous occurs. Gratitude becomes your default state. You no longer wait for life to be perfect, to feel grateful. You feel grateful, and life starts to align with that feeling. You realize that the external world is just reflecting the internal frequency you carry. When you're grateful for your health, your body begins to heal. When you're grateful for your relationships, they grow stronger. When you're grateful for your purpose, opportunities appear out of nowhere. Gratitude is not a passive state. It's an active creation of energy that reshapes what you attract. Even in moments of pain, gratitude offers a way out. It does not deny the hurt, it transforms it. When you learn to thank your challenges, you extract wisdom from them. Gratitude turns wounds into wisdom, chaos into clarity, and fear into faith. It is the alchemy of the soul. When life seems to fall apart, gratitude reminds you that sometimes things must break so you can rebuild stronger. It teaches you that growth is not punishment, it's evolution. Gratitude expands your perception so much that even loss becomes a teacher. Failure becomes a guide. Even uncertainty becomes a doorway. To feel grateful when everything is going right is easy. To feel grateful when nothing is makes you powerful. That's where transformation begins, when you choose gratitude, not as a reaction, but as a response. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are aware that perfection is not the goal. Presence is. Gratitude is the frequency that bridges the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. It's the language of abundance, the heartbeat of creation, the vibration that reminds the universe you are ready to receive more of what you already appreciate. It is not a fleeting feeling, it is a state of being. And when you live there, everything in your life begins to rise to meet you at that higher level of energy. Perspective is the invisible lens through which we experience life. It is the silent architect shaping our emotions, reactions, and even our future. Two people can walk through the same storm. One sees destruction, the other sees renewal. The difference between the two is not the circumstance, but the consciousness through which they view it. Perspective is what transforms chaos into clarity, pain into purpose, and failure into foundation. When you begin to understand the true power of perspective, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to show me?" That question alone can completely rewrite your story. Most people live trapped within the limits of their perception. They see life only from the surface level, judging events as good or bad, labeling people as right or wrong, measuring success by external outcomes. But perspective invites you to step beyond that narrow field of awareness. It asks you to rise above your emotions and view your life from a higher altitude. From that height, you begin to see that everything is connected. What once looked like a setback might reveal itself as a setup. What once felt like rejection may turn out to be redirection. Perspective doesn't change what happens. It changes what it means to you. And when the meaning changes, your emotional state transforms with it. When you shift perspective, you gain the power to choose your emotional response instead of being enslaved by it. You begin to see that every situation holds two realities, the one that you see through fear, and the one that you can discover through awareness. When you look through the lens of fear, everything feels personal, heavy, unfair. When you look through the lens of awareness, everything becomes information, feedback, guidance. The same event that breaks someone else can be the event that awakens you if you choose to see it differently. Perspective, therefore, is not just mental reframing, it's energetic evolution. It's the moment when your consciousness expands enough to turn resistance into revelation. Imagine your life as a movie, and you are both the actor and the director. Most people live stuck in the role, reacting to every scene, feeling powerless when the story doesn't go their way. But the moment you shift perspective, you step into the director's chair. You start to see how every challenge, every heartbreak, every detour fits into the greater plot of your becoming. You realize that even the difficult scenes have purpose. You stop fighting the script and start learning from it. Perspective gives you that creative control to rewrite, reinterpret, and redirect your story toward meaning instead of misery. Your mind is designed to focus on survival. It scans for danger, detects threats, and protects your identity. That's why, without awareness, your perspective becomes narrow and reactive. But your soul is designed for expansion. It wants to grow, to understand, to rise. The moment you bring awareness into a painful situation, you begin to see it not as punishment, but as preparation. Perspective teaches you to move from why me to what now. It opens your vision from the micro to the macro, from the temporary discomfort of this moment to the infinite wisdom behind it. When you learn to observe life from that level of consciousness, even suffering becomes sacred. Perspective is also the root of empathy. When you widen your lens, you begin to see that everyone's behavior is a reflection of their own unseen battles. You start to soften. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you no longer want to carry that heaviness. You stop judging others because you realize that at some point, you were them. Perspective expands compassion. It allows you to look at people not for what they did, but for what they were trying to do with the awareness they had at the time. That shift doesn't just free them, it frees you. Every moment you choose perspective, you reclaim power. You move from reaction to response, from confusion to clarity, from resistance to surrender. The most powerful people are not those who control their circumstances. They are those who control their perception of them. When you shift perspective, you no longer wait for life to change before you feel peace. You feel peace. And then life begins to change. Because perspective alters your vibration, and your vibration alters your reality. What you see is not the truth itself, it's the reflection asterisk. When gratitude and perspective meet, transformation becomes inevitable. Gratitude opens your heart, while perspective expands your mind, and together, they create a state of consciousness where peace and power coexist. Gratitude teaches you to see the beauty in what is, and perspective allows you to understand why it is. One without the other is incomplete. Gratitude without perspective can become shallow optimism. No, perspective without gratitude can turn into detached analysis. But when both align, you begin to live not from reaction, but from awareness, a place where your inner world dictates your outer reality, not the other way around. The intersection of gratitude and perspective is where you stop judging life and start understanding it. You begin to see that nothing is random and that every experience carries a message encoded in its energy. Gratitude lets you receive that message with an open heart, while perspective helps you interpret it with wisdom. This combination dissolves resistance. Instead of fighting what is, you begin to flow with it. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in consciousness turns pain into purpose, struggle into strength, and uncertainty into evolution. Most people experience gratitude only when life gives them something they desire. They are thankful for the good times, the achievements, the moments that go their way. But that's conditional gratitude, and it has limits. True gratitude is unconditional. It's a state of being that doesn't depend on what's happening externally. Perspective makes that possible. It shows you that even the difficult moments contain hidden blessings. When you see through the lens of perspective, you understand that gratitude is not about denying pain. It's about finding meaning inside it. It's about saying, "I don't like this, but I trust it." That trust is where inner freedom begins. Gratitude and perspective together shift your energy from reaction to creation. Gratitude roots you in the present moment. It pulls you away from regret and anxiety, anchoring you in what's real right now. Perspective gives that moment depth that lets you see how this present connects to your larger journey. When you combine them, you begin to live with awareness instead of autopilot. You stop being controlled by your emotions and start being guided by your consciousness. This is the energy of alignment, where your heart and mind work together rather than against each other. Think about how your reality changes when you merge these two forces. Without perspective, gratitude can be fleeting. It's easy to be thankful for a sunny day, but angry at the rain. With perspective, you realize that both are essential. The sun helps things grow, but the rain sustains them. Gratitude lets you feel the beauty of both. When you start to see life through this integrated lens, your emotional highs and lows begin to stabilize. You don't get lost in the peaks or crushed by the valleys because you understand that both serve your evolution. Perspective helps you zoom out to see the bigger picture, while gratitude keeps you grounded enough to appreciate the details within it. At this intersection, your perception of problems changes. Challenges no longer appear as punishments but as invitations. You begin to see that life isn't testing you, it's teaching you. The moments you once called obstacles become stepping stones. The relationships you thought broke you are the ones that woke you. Gratitude helps you accept them. Perspective helps you decode them. Together, they free you from resentment and self-pity, allowing you to step fully into personal responsibility. And when you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. You no longer wait for life to fix itself. Evolve yourself, and life responds accordingly. From this state of consciousness, your entire energy field shifts. Gratitude emits coherence, a harmonious frequency between your heart and brain. Perspective aligns your thoughts with understanding and purpose. When those frequencies merge, they generate an electromagnetic field that draws experiences of the same vibration. This is not abstract theory. It's energetic law. Your outer world begins to reflect your inner balance. You start noticing synchronicities, moments that feel like life is speaking directly to you. That's not coincidence. It's resonance. When you vibrate in gratitude and perspective, you magnetize experiences that mirror that energy. When life challenges you, perspective keeps you from collapsing into victimhood. And gratitude keeps your energy from falling into despair. Perspective lets you rise above the situation. Gratitude lets you feel peace within it. One expands your understanding, the other amplifies your emotional intelligence. This balance allows you to respond to life consciously rather than unconsciously. You no longer waste energy on resistance. You conserve it for creation. You begin to live in harmony with the rhythm of existence, instead of fighting against it. Gratitude and perspective also transform how you relate to others. Gratitude allows you to appreciate people for who they are, instead of focusing on who they aren't. Perspective lets you see them through compassion, rather than judgment. You realize that everyone is doing the best they can with the awareness they currently have, including you. That realization brings forgiveness, not because the past changes, but because your understanding of it does. Forgiveness becomes effortless when gratitude and perspective guide it. You no longer carry the weight of bitterness because you see that even the pain served your awakening. When these two states of being merge, you enter a dimension of consciousness that feels lighter, freer, and more expansive. Life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that happens through you. You begin to recognize that your perception creates your projection, and your projection shapes your experience. Gratitude becomes the frequency you transmit, and perspective becomes the clarity with which you direct it. Together, they create a harmony that transcends circumstance, the vibration that attracts more peace, meaning, and flow into your daily existence. To live in the energy of gratitude is to rise beyond the mechanical act of saying thank you, and step into a state of being where appreciation becomes your natural vibration. Gratitude in its highest form is not a reaction, it's an identity. It's the difference between occasionally feeling grateful and becoming a person who embodies gratitude as their baseline energy. This transformation begins the moment you stop waiting for something external to validate your happiness and start realizing that your emotional frequency is the architect of your reality. When you live in gratitude, you shift from being a passive observer of life to an active creator of it. Everything in the universe operates through vibration. Gratitude resonates at one of the highest frequencies measurable within human emotion. When you maintain this energy, your body, your mind, and your environment begin to synchronize with it. Your nervous system relaxes. Your immune system strengthens. Your heart emits coherence that others can feel even before you speak. You begin to notice how your presence alone changes the energy of a room. This isn't luck or coincidence. It's alignment. Living in gratitude transforms your electromagnetic field into a magnet for harmony, opportunity, and connection. You stop forcing outcomes and start attracting them effortlessly because your inner world already reflects the energy of abundance. Living in gratitude means creating your life from the inside out. Most people wait for external success to feel happy. They think, once I get the job, the relationship, the recognition, then I'll be thankful. But this mindset keeps them trapped in a perpetual cycle of lack, because they are always waiting for something outside of them to grant permission to feel good. True creation begins when you reverse that equation, when you decide to feel the energy of gratitude first, for the manifestation. When you wake up and generate that feeling deliberately, your brain cannot distinguish between what's imagined and what's real. It begins to rewire itself to match that emotional state. Your subconscious mind receives that signal and starts aligning your actions, opportunities, and circumstances to reflect it. This is where the science of transformation meets the art of surrender. Gratitude opens your heart, and once your heart is open, you become a channel for creation. The universe mirrors coherence. It doesn't respond to words, but to energy. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So when you live in gratitude, you become abundance in motion. You stop asking, when will it happen? Because your energy already knows it has. You stop chasing outcomes because you are already living in the vibration of fulfillment. This doesn't mean you stop desiring growth. It means you release desperation. You create from inspiration, not from lack. That's the energy of a true creator. When you begin to embody gratitude as a way of being, time starts to feel different. You no longer live in the tension between past regrets and future worries. You become fully present. You start noticing small details, the breath in your chest, it's the rhythm of your heartbeat, the sensation of sunlight on your skin. These moments anchor you in the now, where creation actually happens. Gratitude grounds your awareness in this eternal present, and from that space, you access infinite possibility. Every breath becomes a reminder of life flowing through you. Every challenge becomes an invitation to expand. Gratitude becomes your inner compass, constantly guiding you back to alignment whenever your mind drifts into fear or doubt. Living in gratitude also changes how you interpret the unknown.